Thank you very much, Griselda. Another top story today. There were chaotic scenes at the Cape Town Methodist Church on Greenmarket Square. Refugees being housed at the church allegedly launched an attack on faith leaders as well as South African Human Rights Commissioner Chris Nissen. We'll speak to him shortly. The refugees have been calling on the Human Rights Commission to help them leave South Africa due to xenophobia here. At the same time, police today removed some 500 protesters who had forced their way into the UN Refugee Agency compound. That was in Pretoria. So let's return to Cape Town. We're joined by Chris Nissen from our studio in Sea Point. Chris, thank you very much. Can you start with this morning? You were addressing the refugees along with the Anglican Archbishop, I understand, and others. Then things went horribly wrong.
Yes, hi, good evening to all the viewers. What happened this morning was a feedback and a report back of several meetings held, including the one on Monday, in which we met with the Home Affairs, the leaders of the protest, and also with the the United Nations High Commission on Refugees, and also the different government departments. And we waited for the leaders to come back to us, but they never. So we decided that we want to report back on what happened there. Basically, the United Nations High Commission on Refugees stated very clearly there can be no whole-scale group resettlement. It's individual people that will access that, and they will have to fulfill a criteria, and there must be a host country receiving them. And after explaining that and the role of Home Affairs, together with the Archbishop of Cape Town and other leaders and NGOs, there was a pastor from Delft which then wanted to talk about safer reintegration into communities. However, one of the leaders then went for the pastor, hit him down the ground, and all hell broke loose, excuse the pun, for the church. And then, of course, as we wanted to intervene, then some of those leaders turned on to us and obviously hit the Archbishop to the left side of his temple, pulled and ruffled him, and then obviously we tried to protect, was hit on the head and pulled into the crowd and moved around. And eventually, after 30 minutes, many of us were then granted safe passage out of the church.
By the refugees themselves?
By some of the leaders of the refugees themselves. But however, one must not lose sight of why they were there and why they are there. The first thing is that there is an issue about documentation, and there is issue about safety for them. But remember this, there are 250,000 refugees in this country. And therefore, when we went there this morning, it was not only about them, but also looking at the other issues that confront asylum seekers and refugees in this country. And Home Affairs, by the very senior person, Mr. Jackie McKay, came down on Monday by instruction of the minister to come and deal with these issues. Yeah. And we wanted to report back on that as well today.
Were you hurt? We understand you were also caught in that scuffle.
Yes, I was hit on the head. I've got a bump on my head, and then of course my finger, and then of course my knee in the process when they were pulling me into the crowd, and others were pulling me, and we went and then took the Archbishop and others to safety.
Yeah. And the Archbishop himself and the others, the injuries that you saw, the attacks that you saw, how bad were they?
Well, the Archbishop was hit onto the side. I think he's also got a bump here on the side, the left side of his temple. And obviously being ruffled around, being pulled and thrown down and so on. But there was somebody from the diaspora search who was badly injured. His whole face was pumped blood, I think he lost some teeth and so on. We don't know what happened to the pastor. We're still trying to assess where he is. But clearly, there were criminal elements in it. But we must not lump all the refugees into what the incident about some of them did to the leaders there. We came to assist, we came to help, and we'll continue to assist and help. But the demands of the leadership, or part of the leadership of the refugees and the asylum seekers there, is to take them all in one swing to another country. That is unreasonable. It cannot happen in terms of international procedures and legislative environment. And therefore, the option is either that they go one on the individually applying for, and if they fit the criteria and there's a host country, they'll be able to go. The repatriation back to their country of origin is not an option, because people fled from their countries because of what happened there to them. The other option, the third option, is of course a safer reintegration into the communities. But remember, some of those refugees that are sitting there also still have their homes, still have their houses, still have their jobs. They are still working every day. So we must not forget about that. The problem, though, is that, not always the right information gets conveyed to those in the church. The minister today said to them very clearly, and some people say he asked them to go. Yes, he did. He said to them, that ship or that flight, as they were all saying, come to the square, come there, because there'll be an airplane taking us to another country like America or Canada. That is not going to happen. So continuing staying in the church is not helping. And they need to make a decision as to what option they're taking. But staying in the church is not an option, because they will not be wholesale resettled in another country.
Firstly, the misinformation that you're talking about. So some of these refugees were told a plane would come and pick them up. We understand that there is a rising demand only for Canada or the United States. They don't want to go back to their home countries. They don't want to stay here. Is that a strong push by most of the refugees staying there, would you say?
Many of those refugees inside the church, even some of them send messages to us to say, please, we do not want to go. We want to stay. Can you help us with documentation? One person came and said, my whole family is inside. Please, can you help? We said, well, Home Affairs said they're ready to assist. But people are scared. Some of the people are scared. And the minister today said, please, let every individual exercise their right to go, and do not brand them as traitors or keep them hostage in the church. Let them decide what to do. However, Trump is closing all the borders. How can we take people to America? And the South African government is in no position to take anybody to America. The host country must say we are taking 2 or 3 or 4. And we've seen globally how host countries, Europe has closed, Scandinavians have closed, Canada have, yes, taken some, but the host country must be able to say, I am prepared to take some people. But given the fact that what they did today, do you think there'll be host country that say, yes, we'll take those people?
Yeah.
So that is the kind of things that we say to them, we will do whatever we can to A, defend your rights in South Africa, B, make sure that as an asylum seeker and as a refugee, that you enjoy all the rights in South Africa, including education, including health services. The only thing that they can't do is vote. But that is and we've offered. It will sit with them and the South African police services and look at those cases where they have been assaulted, where people have been killed or whatever, and then follow that up with the South African police services. However, the leadership has said they will walk. They want to walk to Namibia. And we said, this is a free country. You can walk wherever you want to. They ask us as the commission, can we speak to the police not to interfere? We said, we'll speak to the police. You can walk. But even if you go to Namibia, you will require papers, documentation. And the Home Affairs Department has said today even, they're looking at the issues that confronts them, the time delay, the duration, the papers, moving from here to Pretoria, looking at how perhaps the refugee reception center should be established as quickly as possible. All of that they were saying. And they listened to the people, not only to those in the church, but all the other complaints throughout the country.
Chris, thank you. You've outlined how complex this situation is, how difficult it is. I understand that you're saying you were attacked, but you're trying to be compassionate because most of the people are there, maybe because of their situations. Was it still scary? That's my final question. Was it scary, and will you be going back to that church and continuing to try to engage with these very angry refugees, some of them?
Well, some of them, no, look, I can't say no, I won't go back, you see, because there are good people there, and there are some good leaders that protected us. But it was really a scary situation. Being kept hostage, have one person in front of you while 10 others want to attack you, the Archbishop calm and composed, but I really felt that there was a real injustice done to such a great man, the Archbishop of Cape Town. It's not only criminal, but it's also disrespectful and ungrateful that they can do that to a leader of that stature. And the Archbishop came to assist, and I thank him really for the leadership he's shown today.
All right, Chris Nissen, Western Cape, South African Human Rights Commissioner, talking about the Archbishop, is saying he was thrown to the ground and hit on the side of the head today. Chris Nissen himself injured, somebody else injured more seriously, he says, and that was in this scuffle, this altercation with refugees who were not happy with the options presented to them today around their options being repatriated at home or being reintegrated here. But that misinformation causing a lot of trouble about a flight to Canada.